If your capital city looks like the set of a zombie movie, do you still call it thriving? I've lived in Beijing for many years when it was alive, a city with swagger. You could feel it in the air. Neon lights in Sanlitun, street hawkers yelling over the smell of late night skewers, businessmen closing deals over Peking duck at 2 a.m., diplomats brushing shoulders with hustlers who could sell you anything from fake Gucci bags to factory contracts. Now, it is a ghost city with propaganda posters. Beijing in 2025 is so dead. You can hear your own footsteps echo off glass towels that once pulsed with life. And here's your smoking gun. Restaurant profits collapsed 88% last year. That's not a dip. That's a comma. That is a citywide, closed for business sign hanging over the capital of the world's second largest economy. And make no mistake, this isn't just bad luck. It is not some random downturn. It is the result of years of self-inflicted political and economic own goals, where every so-called reform kicked the legs out from under the city's own economy. I remember Sanlitun at its peak, Beijing's fashion and nightlife capital. You couldn't walk 10 feet without bumping into someone famous, half famous, or at least pretending to be. Models, expats, venture capitalists, local rich kids, and the occasional third tier movie star, all packed into smoky laundries and rooftop bars. Today, a fifth tier city's vegetable market has more action on a Saturday night. Liangmaqiao, once Beijing's version of the Seine River, full of joggers, diplomats, and art exhibitions, is now a dead zone. The white-collar expats, gone. Middle Eastern merchants, gone. This isn't just about fewer foreigners. It's about Beijing losing its cosmopolitan engine. Those people didn't just drink cocktails. They signed deals, built networks, brought in money, and added to the city's cultural mix. And at night, Beijing streets are dead. Not quiet, but dead. No vendors frying noodles, no music drifting from bars, no smoke curling up from late night barbecue stands. Just the sound of your shoes hitting pavement and the occasional police loudspeaker telling you to keep moving. Now, let's talk about the broken legs of Beijing's economy. Beijing used to stand on 6 legs: tech, finance, education, culture, foreign investment, and tourism. 4 of them are now broken, and the other 2 are limping. First off, tech. Beijing's Haidian was once the Silicon Valley of China. Baidu, ByteDance, Didi, all crammed into glass towels, competing for talent. But when political royalty replaced innovation as the top KPI, the air went out of the room. Crackdowns, endless rectification campaigns, and a censorship regime that makes creativity a liability drove startups, overseas. Layoffs piled up. The young, ambitious engineers, many are gone. replaced by risk-averse paper pushers whose main skill is keeping their head down. Next, finance in Shuttered district. Beijing's financial heart used to hum. Now it's a hollow shell. Overregulation smothered deal-making, and even the regulators took massive pay cuts, 30 to 50%. Those six-figure bankers who used to drop 3,000 yuan on a Friday night dinner, they're staying home, watching their wallets. And when high earners stop spending, the ripple hits every luxury store and every fine dining restaurant. Then the meltdown of the education sector. In Haidian district, tutoring crackdown wasn't just a reform, it was an economic nuke. Giants like New Oriental fired 60,000 staff and lost 80% of revenue almost overnight. You didn't just destroy an industry, you destroyed the middle class ladder for millions of ambitious Chinese who saw private tutoring as a ticket up. Beijing's youth-driven education sector went from buzzing to barren in a single quarter. Now, what about culture in Caoyang district? Film, music, art, the soft power heartbeat of the capital. They are barely breathing. Censorship killed storytelling. Box office numbers just collapsed. Small theaters shuttered. Music venues gone. Even the artsy coffee shops that used to be packed with screenwriters and designers are half empty. The same thing for foreign investment. The Caoyang skyline still looks rich, but inside those office towers, half the desks are gone. Multinationals either downsized or shifted regional HQs to Singapore or even Bangkok. What is left is a self-referential bubble of domestic firms afraid to take risks. Now, what about tourism? Beijing should be the tourism powerhouse of China. The Great Wall, the Forbidden City, the Summer Palace. Nowadays, even domestic travelers say Beijing is overpriced, overpoliced, and underwhelming. Instead, people are flying to Harbin for ice sculptures or Zibo for barbecue. Restaurants in Beijing suffered a nearly 90% profit collapse. 90%. That is structural collapse. Now, the population collapse. A city is its people, and Beijing is bleeding people. Population peaked in 2016 and has been shrinking ever since. And this isn't just retirees leaving, it's young working-age people, the kind who keep a city alive. Two massive self-inflicted wounds accelerated the decline. First, the infamous 2017 low-end population purge. In winter, Beijing officials evicted tens of thousands of migrant workers with barely 24 hours notice. Bulldozers knocked down entire neighborhoods. The Beijing government used the word low-end to describe these people. They were the delivery riders, cooks, shopkeepers, and construction crews that essentially kept the city running. Remove them, and you rip out the city's circulatory system. That is how unbelievably stupid the Beijing officials are. And then there's the Xiong'an new area fantasy. The idea, move non-capital functions like factories and their workers 100 kilometers away to a brand new city. The result? Businesses left, workers followed. Beijing aged fast. Now 20% of residents in Beijing are over 60. That's 1 in 5. A demographic drag that kills economic dynamism. Add to that tech and education layoffs, an expat exodus, and you get empty streets, dead malls, and an economy in freefall. Now let's talk about the tourism disaster and how Beijing killed its own golden goose. Strict COVID rules were bad enough, right? Endless lockdowns, QR code checkpoints. But Beijing went further. They layered on pioneer about foreigners. Under the vague security laws, foreigners were detained with no explanation. Japanese executives, American consultants. Word gets around. Tourists stay away. International visitors to China collapsed from 32 million in 2019 to 14 million in 2023. Beijing's share of that smaller pie shrinking. Meanwhile, Japan rebounded to 25 million tourists and rising. Tokyo's streets are packed. Kyoto's temples are booked solid. Why? Because they are fun, affordable, and don't feel like a police checkpoint. Now, some of you may wonder why the official number for Beijing still looks fine. Here is Beijing's magic trick. The city is packed with state-owned enterprises that earn money nationwide. That revenue gets counted as Beijing GDP, even if it's made in Guangdong or Xinjiang. So on paper, the capital's GDP looks healthy. But the real economy, small businesses, service jobs, and the consumer sector is rotting. Small business profits down. Job opportunities disappeared. Consumer confidence non-existent. Scratch beneath the glossy GDP and you find horror neighborhoods and residents hoarding cash out of fear. The mood of the city has fundamentally changed. Beijing used to justify its flaws. People put up with the smog, the traffic, the dirty water, and the dirty air because the city was alive. You could reinvent yourself there. Meet anyone, make deals that change your life. Now, that promise is gone. The social contract is broken. People quietly say what they wouldn't dare a decade ago. Beijing's glory days are over. This isn't an overnight collapse. It is a slow grinding decay that is now visible in every empty restaurant and shuttered shops. 88% of restaurant profits gone in a year. A shrinking population. 4 of 6 economic pillars shattered. You can fence off Tiananmen and hide the street vendors, but you can't hide the mood of a dying city. Beijing is still standing, but without its people and spirit, it's no longer a capital. It's an exhibit, a monument to what it used to be. So Beijing, stay asleep. The rest of us will turn off the lights on the way out.